You're listening to Two Chunks in a Hunk, a movie podcast where we give pumps and dumps.
Well, hello, I am Jordan Wonders, and this week I am your chunk.
I'm Doge, and if you're a chunk, I'm a chunk.
And I'm Carter, and I am your guest Laurel.
I thought you said you were going to be the guest Yanny.
That's what I said, guest Laurel.
Oh, okay, we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm hearing you say that I'm the guest blue and black dress. What are you saying right now?
He's
That
the
I-
gold Yanny.
The guest Laurel.
The guest
Laurel.
gold and black dress?
That's me. Yeah. We're saying
Are
all.
we
I don't
saying
know.
the same thing?
Yeah, we're all saying
Blue
the same
Yanny.
thing.
Blue Yanny sounds like it would be Blue Yanny sounds like a guy with like the longest, grossest dreads who sings like soul folk music with a pan flute in the late 90s.
Yeah. Or the
Pan
second
flute.
track of an Inya album.
Blue Yanny.
Blue Yanny.
Exactly.
He's like,
Yeah. Or a kind of duck. This
duck.
is the rare Blue Yanny.
A blue Yanny. Hey, Carter, if it were a duck, what would that sound like?
Oh, a duck?
Yeah.
Give me your bird noises
Something like
again,
a
man.
something like a honk, 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 honk.
That roll-in is
Real good
really...
at the bird noises.
That roll-in, I think, is really what makes it.
I'm your guest hunk, which is what I've been saying the whole time.
Hey, if you're listening and you like our show,
back.
please tweet with the hashtag Blue Yanny. That's our official hashtag now.
Hashtag Blue Yanny.
Hashtag Blue Yanny.
It's a good one. They played that at my graduation ceremony.
That was my first dance at my wedding.
Is that the one song that's like,
Blue Yanny?
as we go, Laurel,
Yeah, that's it.
Yanny.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's a good song. Who does that?
Vitamin
Yanny.
C.
Ah, yeah, that's right.
Oh, Blue Yanny.
Oh,
It's
Blue
by
Yanny.
Blue
That's a Blue
Yanny.
Yanny song.
Obviously.
Cool. She's been around a minute.
So while we're getting ready to talk about a movie that has a lot to do with letters, I thought it'd be really cool to poll you guys. Do you lick or tuck your envelopes?
Oh, so I have an interesting answer for you.
Okay.
And
both.
Because I've kind of been cured of it. Not that it's wrong to be obsessive compulsive, but I was obsessive compulsive at one point. Washed my hands all the time to where they would get raw. So there were a lot of things like licking envelope glue that was not attractive to me.
Sure.
So what I have always done and still do to this day, like when I set out my wedding invites, it was a lick of the thumb and then over the envelope top and then seal.
Is it like a germ thing or like a...
It's a germ thing.
Okay.
And it's also a being a fan of Seinfeld thing. Even though it was a morbid joke, George's fiance dies from licking envelopes.
Okay.
And I think they actually got that idea to write it in from something that actually happened.
From somebody who died licking envelopes.
Right, exactly. It's a
Why are
very
you
real-
laughing at
Oh
death?
my
What's
gosh,
wrong
that's
with you?
just crazy to me.
Yeah. So, but I've always like lick of the thumb and then over the envelope and then close, but kind of a wet towel wipe of the thumb back at it.
Every time?
Okay.
Every time.
Every
Okay.
time in between.
Every time.
I'm a bowl of water guy myself. I dip my
You just
thumb in a
dunk the
bowl of
whole
water. just dump
envelope.
the envelope in a bowl of water and
Yeah.
then just hang it up to dry, shake it. I dip my thumb in a bowl of water and run it along the edge.
See, I
I'm gonna
tuck.
start doing that now because I'm realizing my way is a couple more
There's at least
extra steps.
at least 3 or 4 more germs on your thumb.
yeah, I'm
by
not
the
gonna
time
do
you're
that
done with your
I'm
process.
gonna go your way.
See, I tuck,
Okay.
but I probably shouldn't, and here's why. I don't remember the last time that I tucked the fold of an envelope in and didn't rip some part of the envelope.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm just not a good tucker, which is probably the case. But
I've noticed that about your shirts. You
yeah,
really tuck 'em in there bad.
usually if I tuck in my shirts, it's like
you rip
one
your shirt.
corner and it's all the way down to my socks.
Have you
It's
how
not
many
great.
how many envelopes though have you opened from a tuck? Like someone else sent it to you and it's been tucked.
Zero.
I would never tuck one in the mail
Oh, okay.
because then you can't tell if it's been opened. But if I'm gonna hand somebody an envelope in person, that's a tuck.
That's fair. I feel like that's a
I think I've done that. I actually think I've done
I
that
want to change my answer. I have a burning candle and a wax mold that I seal
a ring that has our Two Chunks and a Hunk logo,
And just-
right?
right there with that
The
wax.
official seal of Two Chunks and a Hunk.
So that way they know if it's been tampered with by spies.
Little birds.
Little birds. Is that what birds sound like?
Carter, what do birds sound
I think
like?
it's more of a call.
Thank you.
Oh, I love it so much.
Well, with all this talk about letters, it's probably good to talk about what movie we're talking about.
I did
right?
not even see that coming.
That was good. Continuing in our series of Summer of Love, talking about romance and taking Carter on some sweet, sweet dates.
Which actually, now that I've noticed it, is 4 weeks long. That really only takes place in May. So it's
so
like,
it's like a late spring of love.
early summer of love, like like finals. If you're in school, you're in finals, right?
When
It's
is
your
the
finals of
solstice?
love. We all know. Let's
It's
say it
the
together.
solstice of love.
The solstice.
the
of
solstice of love.
All right.
I like that.
We'll rebrand. It'll be great.
Love. Cool.
But in keeping with our newly founded tradition of 4 weeks, we're going to talk about a movie called The Notebook. Doge, please give us a synopsis.
All right. So The Notebook tells the story of. Yeah.
I don't want to sit through it for a second time.
Don't worry. I'll include every flashback. I'm going to jump back and forth
Please.
as much as this movie does. The Notebook tells the story of Noah and Allie, and they fall in love at a fair in like the 40s, I guess.
Yeah.
They fall in love and have a summer romance. And then Allie and her family move away at the end of the summer. And Noah, I guess, doesn't see her for a couple of years. And
7 years.
7 years. And he fulfills his lifelong dream of buying this old Civil War plantation home and rebuilding it and renovating it. And he does it all to the specifications that Allie mentioned to him while they were dating for that one summer, those 3 months only that they were dating. And then through a series of coincidences, their paths cross again. Coincidi. Their paths cross again after Noah has gone and served in World War II, and Allie has been a volunteer nurse. And while she was a volunteer nurse, she met the man who would become her fiance.
Cyclops.
So Allie is engaged to James Marsden, and that's actually his character's name. Not a lot of people know that. In the movie, he's also playing a character named James Marsden.
What was his real name in the movie? Like Lawton?
His name was Lon.
Lawn.
Lawn,
That's it.
as in like that piece of grass that's out in front of your house.
Is that really his name?
His name is Lon.
What a terrible name. Keep
100%. So Allie is engaged to Lon when she and Noah cross paths again because she sees a picture of him in the paper next to his newly renovated plantation home. So she heads back to South Carolina to spend a couple of nights with him. And while there, she predictably breaks off her engagement to James Marsden and decides to pursue a relationship with Noah. And the movie is actually told as kind of a flashback. Our framing device that we get is at the beginning of the movie, we get an old man visiting an old woman in a nursing home, and he's reading to her. She has dementia. She can't remember anything. And so he's reading to her, and then over the course of the narrative, we find that this is Noah and Allie.
Spoiler.
Spoiler, I guess, if you haven't seen The Notebook. And then once our flashback sequence ends, we get kind of an extended bookend where Noah has like a heart attack, and Allie has, I guess, a flare up of her dementia. What is going on with her?
We might get to it.
We'll
and try
talk-
and
we'll
find
talk
out
about it.
then.
They
gotta
die
get there.
in each other's arms, and it is very sad and very emotionally manipulative, but that's The Notebook.
So before we really jump into this, here's the coolest thing about this movie. So you know how people always say, like, I just wish tonight could last forever. Like, time moves too quickly.
Yeah.
With the creation of this movie, scientists actually discovered the secret to slowing down time to a crawl.
Yeah.
And it is watch this movie.
Yeah.
This was a 2-hour movie. It's the longest thing I've ever watched in my entire life.
It felt long.
I have taken road trips that were quicker than watching
It
this
does
movie.
feel long, and I think it's because of the weird pacing and structure of this plot.
I paused the movie at one point to go to the bathroom, and I saw that we were an hour deep. I could not believe it.
I know.
yeah.
I would have sworn to you that there were 20 minutes left.
Yep.
It was the longest movie of all time.
And let me preface like my opinions throughout this to say I feel I've always been a champion for the underdog.
Okay.
Okay. So in this sense, the underdog kind of is liking the movie.
Sure.
Okay. So what I need to do and the role that I will take
Yes.
is try to be not its champion or its fan,
But an apologist.
but an apologist.
Yeah, yeah,
Let me
yeah.
approach this as an apologist, because if we look, I don't know if we can break down our listenership demographically, but I know there are many women who
Yeah.
listen to this.
Sure.
And here's the thing we have to remember too. And again, we don't want to go outside of what this podcast is for,
Sure.
right? We're not going to lie to people.
Right.
The Notebook was kind of a given. If we have a chance to do 4 romance
yeah.
movies or
Notebook's
rom
gotta
com,
be in there.
The Notebook is still referenced to, kind of in some sense, by people.
Sure.
The kissing in the rain. There's a lot of these things that happen. The immense heartache. One more thing I want to say too is, I those of you at home, and I know a lot of people have listened to this or have seen The Notebook. Think of it as a plot for a horror movie, and it is not much different. It is not much different. Peeping through windows,
Yeah.
big aggressive passionate eyes.
I just kept
Yelling.
I kept thinking while I was watching this, I wish I had access to some cut of this movie that just removed all the music but kept the sound effects, and like
Yeah.
in particular the rain scene in the boat where it starts raining and they both just
Die
die
laughing. What?
Laughing.
like without the
Was
music.
that
is a psychotic break. Easily, that is just, we have become completely divorced from reality at this
So
point.
you've actually, let's go ahead and jump into it, because
Yeah.
I fear
Yeah,
that
yeah.
we're going to summarize this movie at the beginning, and I don't want to do that.
No.
So let's go ahead and jump into kind of the beginning. Again, we get old people. What's going on? Who knows what's going to happen? She's clear.
Can I say my
Yeah.
least favorite line happened so quick, and you'll be surprised by this.
Okay.
He's going, Noah, we can say that because
Old
you've
Noah,
seen
or
the
are we
movie.
talking about
Old
old
Noah,
Duke?
James
All right,
Garner,
Man,
sure.
Noah.
is going up to get his medicine. And he wasn't aggressive or flirty in any way, but this nurse who has been given one line, and I guarantee you we never see her again in movie business, and it might be because of this. She says, "You say that every day, you old devil."
What?
Do you remember that?
Yes, I
You
actually
say that
do.
every day, you
I
old
do remember
devil.
It struck me wrong. Yeah.
Because I think that line
Why?
completely set the tone. Like,
No.
we watched this movie and that piece of dialogue was like, hey, just so you know, that's what all the words are going to be like in this
But
movie.
can I tell you what set the tone for the rest of this movie? Do you know what the first 3 minutes and 12 seconds of this movie are? A man rowing a boat.
Yes.
Yeah,
Not a
it's
main
so
character.
In my
long.
mind. Oh my gosh.
You know how I know it's 3 minutes and 12 seconds?
Did you time it?
I timed it.
A man rows a boat under the blood red sky of the apocalypse.
Yes.
Why is everything
with,
red?
with CGI birds. And the first words occur 3 minutes and 12 seconds
Wow.
in. And
Now,
the
are we
first
even
3 minutes and
But it
12.
doesn't seem like credits were taking over the screen at that time.
No,
much,
they were there.
Where they kind of
But
hint.
most of the screen was Apocalypse Now sky
Yeah.
with rower.
I wanted Morgan Freeman so bad in that moment. Like, just narrate that for me, like the ripple effect.
and
Each-
the man dipped his paddle in the water.
Yes.
And he removed it from the water.
Each tiny
Dipped
wave,
it again.
and then dipped it again.
only becoming memory.
Go ahead and vote online who has the best Morgan Freeman impression of the group.
around.
But I just want to say that is a bonkers way to start a movie.
Can I give just a big dump on that? It's not
To
my
the
super
opening of
dump.
this movie.
The opening of this movie completely and utterly fails to grab my attention, which is maybe the one job that the opening of your movie should do.
Okay, I want to do this. Let's play a game for the next 5 seconds. Take 5 seconds to yourself. Think
right.
of a weaker movie opening. I challenge you. Doesn't exist.
I can't think of one that's worse.
3 minutes and 12 seconds of silent rowing is pretty hard to beat.
Even,
That's pretty bad.
Even some of the movies that we've reviewed on the show before that I have absolutely hated,
At least opened.
immediately more engaging than 3 minutes of watching a man row a boat.
That's like if I was like, hey, can I talk to you about something? And you're like, yeah. And for 3 minutes and 12 seconds, I was just like,
Oh my gosh.
just for the whole time.
When I
And
edit this podcast, I'm going to stretch that
for
out to
3 minutes and 12 seconds.
Yeah, as we
Now,
go.
the other thing is, right at the beginning, before we really get into anything, they use a camera technique that is not used a single other time in this movie. And it's like a huge fisheye that shows us this entire room in almost a full circle. They use it for one 8-second scene, which actually brings me to one of the biggest dumps I have in this movie.
Take me there.
I would say 40% of this movie is watching old people shuffle walk in real time. There were so many scenes that involved crossing a threshold, walking down a hallway, going from one end of a room to another.
Yeah.
And they just showed it.
Yeah.
With no conversation, nothing expository, just shuffle.
Allow me to don the hat of Notebook apologist.
Hit me. Yeah.
Hey,
please.
there's another one.
Are those types of scenes of old people just shuffling slowly there to make us cognizant of those moments and the reality that Noah and Allie have spent every single one of those moments together since like the 50s?
Yeah, I can see that.
I hear you.
But it's tough too, though, when we have to dig so deep. It's like, are we creating credit?
I think I absolutely am creating credit because I
So-
think the goal of this movie is let's just make some people cry.
And I did a thing too, though, is because I was sitting there and I am such a, like, for the little man defending everybody. It gets me in trouble sometimes. But like, if someone were to do a movie podcast and look scene for scene and talk about Sandlot,
yeah.
is the same kind of thing going to happen?
Yeah.
Or is it like three girls talking about Sandlot? You know, like, is there something
Would
that
they
we
see something different?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, and I want to be clear. I'm not going to poo-poo all over this
For
whole
sure.
movie. I just want to drive home the fact that for such a popular movie, it has one of the weaker
it does.
first 30 minutes of any movie I've ever seen.
It really does.
So I think for our discussion today, it would be kind of an exercise in futility to try and jump back and forth with the movie between
no
present
way.
day and
No way.
past day, present day, past day. Let's go ahead and talk about
The past.
the fair. Like, let's
Yeah.
just take it from the beginning
That's
when they
good.
meet all the way
That's
to
good.
when they die at the end.
Yeah.
So at this fair, am I the only one that had a huge problem with the way their relationship starts?
Big
Yes.
time. I did as well.
Okay.
I did too.
Enlighten
I did
me.
too. And it's so tough because is it just the quality of the movie or is it that I just saw Gosling with Steve Carell?
Yeah, that could
and
be it.
Emma Stone, and it was magic. And then I have this, and he is doing things on this Ferris wheel that are so not smart.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
outside of like motherly concern. What are you doing? And then Finn, his friend Finn.
Was that his name? Finn? I would have told you right now his name was Matt.
I
Nope.
think it was Finn.
I'm
All right.
90% sure it was Finn.
Fine
he
with
is
me.
just
Not
can't
a
figure
character.
out who he is. And he's concerned at first. Everybody's like, what are you doing? And then they laugh and then they're concerned again. And it's already bouncing me all over the place. I'm uncomfortable. It is a wooden roller coaster. It is not made of steel.
Sure.
I am
Yeah.
like, my neck hurts. I'm looking different directions, but I swear I was facing forward when I
Yes,
started this
yes.
thing. And it really, and I think they got high on playing with your emotions in this movie.
Yes.
Here's the problem with that fair scene is that that's not when our story starts. Like, our story is like the inciting incident, the moment that is the start of our story of The Notebook is whenever Allie moves away to New York. Like, we backfill the beginning of this because the story is not they met and fell in love and had a great summer. Like, that can be, we can open this movie, we can open the flashback right as she's moving away.
Yeah.
We don't have to see them fall in love. And we save like probably 20, 30 minutes at the beginning of this movie.
Yeah, because if I'm being real, the foundation that is built in the earlier part of this story, the original Summer of Love,
Yeah.
doesn't feel like a strong foundation to me as a viewer. Now, to some people it might, but if I'm going to be honest, I did not see the chemistry.
No.
I really
between these
didn't either,
two
but did
characters.
you read on how it was really a strange production and directing process?
Yeah.
Because there was rumor that Gosling and McAdams did not
Didn't
like each other at
Yeah.
all.
I didn't read that.
The
I can
director
tell.
kind of closed them into a room to sort their things out.
Yeah.
And maybe we saw some progress from there.
Sure.
But all of it was either, I think they might have been trying to come across as passionate, but it seemed aggressive.
Yes.
On a lot of things. Like there was one point and so Noah was talking about like, when I see something I like,
I want to have it.
I want to have it, but his eyes get so big, and it's all of these warning signs.
It's frightening.
where if
Yeah.
here comes the horror movie plot. If I'm watching a horror movie, I am yelling, "Run!"
Yep.
Do not get in that car with that
Yep.
man. Do not get in that car.
Yep.
And so there's so many things. I wrote he's creepy. I've watched enough serial killer documentaries and shows to see the warning signs. When he asked you Do you want to walk with me? I wanted to scream, no, God, no. Yeah, and
that'll
it was.
do it. Yeah.
But there was some passion there, and I have to think they are playing very young.
Sure.
Like there is this recklessness that comes with that sometimes.
There were the pushes, man. Every time she shoves him, I'm just watching going,
and they allude
what
to
is
it too,
this?
but they talk about like we fought 90% of the time. I think he even reference it at the big, speech that he gives her basically in the end.
Sure.
Let me just say, as a married person, and this is one of the few times on this podcast when I'm going to put my serious hat on and take my silly hat off.
Yeah.
If you fight 90% of the time, that's not a good time.
And if you fight with your hands in any way, don't
Also
do that.
not a good time.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's the thing is, I think the attempt is to set up like, oh, there's fire, there's passion.
crazy about
They're
each
crazy about
other.
it. No, they're just
They're
crazy.
just crazy. And
That's
here
the
we
problem.
are. This is my super dump.
Give it to me.
Am I allowed to have my super dump be their relationship?
Yes.
I think my super dump is their relationship. Like it is dysfunctional, and it is like, and I know you're listening to this and you're going, but Doge, it's dysfunctional because it's love. Love is messy. No, this
Not
is
that messy.
This is like codependent and just like weird feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it just doesn't feel natural.
Well, I'm watching this movie and I'm not rooting for them.
Yeah,
That's
no
the
way.
problem.
That's the
And
thing.
we'll get to why in a little bit. I don't want to get to the middle of the movie before we're at the middle of the movie, but there's a reason that I'm not rooting for them. But let's finish up talk about that summer, because essentially it is just this whirlwind romance that for some reason they felt the need to show them in bodies of water often.
There's a
You know
lot
what,
of
though?
swimming.
For a while, I thought there was going to be some kind of imagery with water because his name is Noah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of rain. His
Sure.
friend's name is Finn.
Yeah.
But Allie
There's
doesn't
bird.
fit into that. You would think the love interest is in there. And I think Cyclops, his name was Flounder. Is that what we said?
Yeah,
I think so,
Flounder.
yeah.
No,
Flounder.
sorry, Sebastian.
Oh, okay.
Sebastian.
Flounder was his German
her
friend
dad
that was
was
on there for
Triton.
2 seconds.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
her dad was young Colonel Sanders.
Yo.
He was the weirdest.
So
He
let's
was
actually
part of this whole
actually
movie.
talk about
Let's
her
talk about her
family,
family. Yeah.
because
Can we go straight to the dinner?
Yep.
yeah,
When they happen to have 500 people over doing random things in
Croquet
white
was
dresses.
one.
And, yeah. Super
And
cliche,
it
right?
I said out loud, of course he's got a mustache.
oh, yeah.
It literally feels like a high school drama production where the drama teacher is just like, hey, if you're on stage, you have to be doing something. And they were just like, okay, cool, I'll do croquet. And then it's just a bunch of people spreading out and doing white people things in the background.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
super weird.
And there's this whole vibe with her parents of just like, rich people are evil.
Yeah.
Poor people know what love means.
Yeah.
And it's just like, is that your message?
yeah.
Is that what the
it's-
message of this movie is?
It's
that
a
doesn't
mess.
feel right.
Well, and this moment, this dinner is when we should get the seeds of the turn with her mom.
Yeah.
Because in the end, like we'll skip ahead. We'll talk about her mom as a character.
Oh.
In the end, her mom drives her to the lumber yard and says, "You see that man
This
over
is the
there?
weirdest thing.
I used to be in love with that man, and now I don't hardly recognize him."
Then she just cries in a convertible at a lumber yard.
Here's the thing. And imagine if instead at this dinner she is sympathetic to Allie and Noah, and we
And it's
see
the dad is the
It's the
villain.
dad is the villain. The dad's the one that
Thank
keeps
you.
the letters, and the mom is sympathetic. And then
Yeah.
the whole point is that the mom at the end of the movie then has the opportunity to say, "No,
Don't make the same
Don't make the
mistake."
same mistake I did. I'm standing up for love." And then
Yes.
she allows Allie to then avoid replicating her mistake and marry the person that she loves rather than the
Yes.
person that's going to get her better social or societal or monetary standing.
Right.
It would also go with the fact, and I know that we keep jumping to the end, but for the mom's sake, with her like character arc, it that goes along with the fact that wait, hold up, she kept every single letter.
Yeah.
She kept 365
She just throw 'em
letters,
away?
but seemed so against it. You know, when she was first doing that stuff.
But I think what we're supposed to pick up is like, oh, she knew one day she'd give them to her. She was planning this all
Then
along.
she's
But
just
that's
been a bad
never
mom for
shown.
7 years.
Yes.
She's been a
That's
jerk
so
for
hard.
7
Yeah.
years.
That doesn't make any sense. And how fast did she plan to leave that town, by the way? That one night, she's just like, he's not good enough for you. You'll never find a man. And then the next day, she wakes up and is like, breakfast. Get in your car. We're leaving.
Yeah.
What? And I also want to address, she comes to the lumberyard to say goodbye to Noah. And Finn is just like, he doesn't want you no more. Get out of here.
I know. That was so crazy. I was yelling at him. I was like,
earbuds her.
just tell him she loves him. Just tell him.
Yeah.
Why are you?
It
And
is.
see, it's the thing. I think
wild.
that like characterizes this movie of those moments where it's like you're yelling at the screen, going, "Don't make that decision," or
Yeah.
"Do make this decision." And
Sure.
the whole purpose of it is to elicit this emotional response that the narrative itself doesn't earn.
Yes.
Back to the letters.
Yep.
How is Allie? At least give me 10 of 365 days. Not checking the mail.
She's not the first one in the mailbox, right?
Yeah.
What?
Not checking the mail.
Are you kidding me?
Maybe they have a servant who checks the mail for them.
It seems like the mom too, though.
Which again, what if the dad is the first one raising the mailbox every morning, trying to silence the relationship with Noah, and the mom is the one saving those because
She's saying, I'll get rid of them for you. And then
maybe
she
that's
keeps them.
gosh, I wish I hadn't super dumped. Maybe that's the crux of the problem with this movie is that the mom is not a character. She just exists
No.
to serve the plot in whatever scene
That's
she's
not
in.
the crux of the problem. We'll get there. In fact, we've really exhausted the first summer of
So
love,
that's the
right?
beginning, and here's the deal. This is when our story starts.
Yes.
Everything that we've got, like the inciting incident, the crossing the threshold, if you want to borrow mythic structure from like Joseph Campbell and stuff, this moment is when our story starts. We
Sure.
have 30 minutes of wasted time before
And
this.
dude, it's 45 minutes.
Are you serious?
Yes. So she goes to New York, whatever. Pretty much the first thing that happens after that is World War II, yeah?
Guys,
Yeah.
Are we missing
the
something?
World War II
Oh, yeah, give it to me.
scene was an aggressive amount of CGI for
Yeah.
2 seconds. And I have
Yep.
never seen what is supposed to be X amount of time go so fast. It even felt, and here, I'm not even the apologist right now.
Go.
It felt disrespectful to World War II.
right? Right?
It's like, this is all it is.
I thought the same thing.
Oh, we haven't done enough planning to see the army that is 100 yards away from us. Are you saying America was that bad? If I feel like I wanted to pause it because there's like tanks and like military trains and
Yes.
planes and it's dozens and they're just coming. They're like, what? I was
didn't
looking
know-
at the falling snow.
Here's the
thing.
other side had these things.
Yes.
I'm going to say this once, and I'm not going to address it for the rest of this time that we talk about this. If I'm going to watch a sad love story about set during World War II, I'm going to watch Atonement because it's better by a quarter mile and a half.
I'm going to watch
it
Captain
is.
America: The First Avenger.
Yeah, that too. That's great.
I'm saving the dance for you. Yeah, that's way
Easy,
better than
done.
this.
And I
Anyway.
think those that do love the Notebook could agree with something like that.
Sure.
Thank you for giving us like the Atonement or something like that.
Sure.
It is
Yeah.
well made.
It is a sad World War II love story. But I want to address something that happens very quickly, which is the death of Finn, a character we have not grown to care about
That's
because
not-
we have
yeah.
given no reason to care about him. And yet it is set up to be this like tragic
huge big moment.
time for us.
But if it is too, yeah, and you were probably going to get to this, I don't think he's talked about again.
Nope, not
Like,
once.
give me at least a moment of Noah, like where you know, like the scenes sometimes when you can tell this is a catch up scene. We're not listening to their lines right now, but there's a reaction that we would be able to allude to the fact, oh, he
Yeah.
told her about Finn.
Well, and here's the other thing. This is not the only time. It is the first time, but it's not the only time in this movie that the movie basically goes, well, and then that person died. Anywho,
So that is my super dump.
give it to us.
The father was the best parent in the movie.
Yes.
When I look at what's going on,
The father is my super pump. He was
Whoa.
my favorite part of this movie.
Yeah.
He's like the
Whoa.
sweetest guy.
he's so sweet.
He's like the only normal person in this
and
movie.
that might
Pancakes
be
line was-
one of the bigger twists of the movie because I'm pretty sure that actor usually plays awful people.
Really?
Yes. And but we see him and we're like, oh, I would have thought, you know, Noah's been raised in humble upbringings, all these things. They did so much development with him
Yes.
to say, I have sold my home
And I'm going to
Yeah.
move
for
in with
you
and
to
help
live
you.
your dream.
Yes.
This is what you have always wanted, which
Yes.
who's to say this movie would have not gone any further without the father making that move.
Yeah.
And then, but he dies and the funeral but for 2 seconds we have somber moment, but then they start playing over that a soundtrack that's like,
Yes.
well, we got to run into the next part of the movie because he wasn't worth
And
anything.
can I also, let's talk about this real quick. the way that his death is told to us is quite literally, so where did we leave off? No, his father died.
Right.
Just boom, and he's gone.
It's
of nowhere. And
bookended
he's
by
gone.
happy moments, because beforehand it's like, oh, we're coming around. She's starting to remember stuff in like the nursing home.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry about that. Let's jump back in. Yeah,
Yep.
and then it goes to that. He's dead. And
then I'm chasing off a home buyer with a shotgun.
I think the next scene was the engagement scene, maybe,
which
where the guy's like boodly 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 boo. You know,
Yeah.
the singer
Yeah.
with the grandstand.
which I would like to actually talk about. Are we there?
Take me there.
Yes.
Take me
So
there.
this brings us to James Marsden.
Yes,
James Marsden's character, Lon, is a soldier. He's injured. He's like, notice you don't have a ring on your finger. Could I ask you out? And she's like, no. And then he does. So let me talk about Lon for a second, if we don't mind.
Yeah.
Lon is my super pump.
Okay.
Whoa.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm honestly absolutely shocked.
Let me
because
explain.
I hate that dude.
Oh, that's crazy that you just said that, because that is the opposite of how I feel.
Really?
Lon is the only adult in this entire movie. Lon is the only character that reacts to anything realistically, rationally, with kindness. And if I'm being honest, we know how I feel about Ryan Gosling. Lon is not only the obvious choice, but I would say empirically the correct choice to choose to marry.
Your team Lolly?
100%.
Not team.
Lon is the one that looks at her when she says,
Laurel.
I am struggling and I am concerned and I have cold feet. Lon looks at her and he doesn't go, what do you want? What is it? You're so... Lon goes, that's understandable. A lot of people get really cold feet. Maybe you should just take some time for yourself. And she goes, okay.
Dang, that's actually a really good point.
And then Lon is the one who goes, here are all the things I want to do to this guy, but none of those get me you, and I still love you despite all this. So go do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, okay. Lon is the one who goes, I trust you. Go to this town. Take your time. And she goes, okay. Then has an affair against her fiance that we're supposed to go, love, yay, 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 love. And we're supposed to root against the only real character in this movie. James Marsden, in the 6 minutes that he is on screen, and I think that's generous, but in the 6 minutes that James Marsden is on screen in this movie, delivers the only believable performance for the entire 2 hour and 3 minute runtime.
And so he's your super pump.
He is my super
Yeah.
pump because he represents what this movie should have been elevated to.
Yeah, and I can't really dump on your super pump because Lynn Hagen was a big part of my super pump.
Sure,
and the
yeah,
other
yeah.
thing, and so that's a consistent thing that we saw.
And I think if we want to juxtapose these two things, what we see in both the Lindhagen and the Marsden of it all.
That was from Crazy Stupid Love.
Sure,
if you haven't listened,
to that. Yeah, that's good. Good call. So Kevin Bacon from Crazy Stupid Love and James Marsden, they kind of play similar but different characters, these sort of jilted lovers that for various reasons don't end up with the main person. And they both are these incredibly likable people. The difference here being James Marsden didn't do anything bad.
yeah.
He's the only good person in this movie besides Noah's father, of course.
Is the message
hold
of
up.
this? Yeah, go.
Can I go ahead and ask the message though?
Is the message of this movie that rich people suck?
Yes, that's what I'm getting
Because that's
at.
the thing. Like Lon's only crime is like loving like dressage or whatever rich
Yeah.
people stuff he does.
And the first time we meet him, he is a wounded veteran
Yes.
of World War. And so it's like he is this grape of a man, you know?
Yes.
And I will say, I agree with everything that you have said.
Yeah.
Maybe not to the extent,
Sure.
but there is one thing you missed.
Okay.
He is not the only victim.
Yeah.
What about Martha?
yes.
You don't remember Martha because no one else does. No one in the movie remembers Martha. Is that supposed to be a sweet moment?
Hey, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Why did you say that name?
Martha?
Why did you say that name?
Why did you say the name?
Sorry.
That's a deep cut from episode 2 of our show.
well,
Nice.
it's just from a bad
or
movie,
just from
too.
the bad movie
Continue.
we watched.
But so Martha is just the victim of depressed Noah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
sleeps with him. We never see her bad at all.
Yeah.
She actually, as an actor, now granted, it was kind of a monotone role,
Sure.
but
yeah.
she did it well.
I
You know,
could have
give her credit for
sworn-
that.
I could have sworn that was the same actress that played Finn's girlfriend at the fair.
I thought so too.
Every
That's
woman,
so funny.
every
I thought
woman
he was
in the
with
past
Finn's-
has red hair and red eyebrows.
Yes.
and so I
That's
can't
every
tell them
woman-
apart.
Every woman that's not, oh, wait, no, sorry, Allie still also does.
And her mom.
But here's the other thing about Martha. She has one of the sweetest moments in this movie.
She does.
Where she looks at Noah and she says, could I meet her?
Yeah.
You've told me so much. And then she
But
comes
it's
out
out
and
of-
she
what's-
says, you have given me something to look forward to.
Heartbreaking.
It's the saddest thing.
Heartbreaking because she wants to know everything about the man that she probably loves.
So let's get real then. Lon and Martha.
Give me that.
This is the Marissa Tomei, Kevin Bacon of this movie.
yeah.
Give me that. Yes.
This is something we should do with every rom-com is come up with an alternative pairing that is better than the main pairing.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
well, and I think that, so if I may be so bold to do something a little crazy here, this discussion has led me from super pump directly to super dump.
Okay.
Do it.
May I?
Do it.
Okay.
My super dump for this movie is the inverse of my super pump, which is the immaturity of our two leads.
Yes.
They are children.
Yeah.
For the entirety of this movie, they are children. They behave, they react, they whine. They're so whiny. Everything they want is, why don't you love me? I don't know if this is the right one. Mom. And I get that they're 17 at the start, and that's tough. But
Sure.
They're
17 's hard.
24 by
They're
the end of it.
24 by the end. Grow up.
And it flies completely. It's a completely opposite message from Crazy Stupid Love, which is
Yes.
something we all, or at least me, loved about Crazy Stupid Love.
Sure.
Was that the message was that love is this deep friendship built on shared life experience.
Yeah.
And this, it's like love is not a deep friendship where you bare your soul to one another, because that's what Allie and Lon did, and that's what Noah and Martha did.
Yes.
Love in this movie is just a passionate
feeling.
big
Yeah.
fire that's going to burn really hot and burn out quickly.
Well, and at the end, if I may be so bold to jump there, when they're talking about, I want all of you forever. How do you know?
Yeah.
You have 3 months experience together. It's been 7 years. You might be different people.
I could understand that if that scene was set 100 years later and they've been like texting and they've like kept in contact.
Yeah.
Yes.
They literally have not had any contact aside from like he met her for the first time. They dated for 3 months and then they were gone for 7 years.
And the movie doesn't give us a good enough 3 months.
Yes.
I think they
Correct.
could have pulled off a believable 3 months.
They could have knocked
because
out
I
3
think
swimming
I
scenes.
even have good friends whose parents it was like
Yeah.
fell in love.
Yeah.
And that's what the movies are for. Give me head over heels. I'm in love. The, otherworldly love at first sight narrative. And then it happens, but it did not do that well enough for me to believe it
Yeah.
in this one.
Yeah.
What if instead this movie, like we pick up with Allie and Noah right, and it's like all present day. We pick up right before Allie goes to the nursing home. And it's still called The Notebook and it's still centered around the notebook, but it's Noah dealing with the person that I love is still inside there. And then that way we don't have to see their toxic relationship, but we see him fighting for Allie and fighting to bring Allie out. You know what I mean? I feel like that could be such a stronger movie. We could still have that tearjerker, emotionally exploitative ending that we have here.
Well, I think you bring up a good point. Let's try and sprint through the remainder of this movie. We
Yeah.
can stop where we need to,
Yeah.
so we can spend a couple of minutes talking about the present day timeline of this movie.
Yeah.
So let's kind of talk about the ending where we root for this affair that turns into a love.
That's it. That's it. I mean,
Yep,
and then
I know.
the mom completely 180s her entire character. The core of her being is inverted.
with no forecast.
And then just, maybe Rachel McAdams does a good job of being shocked at what's even happening because
Yeah.
we all were.
Sure. Yeah.
Something was like, she didn't read the script that morning. This is a natural reaction.
She said,
and then they go to the lumber yard or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's what would have been. That's what could have been.
Yeah.
There 25 years ago, I almost did the same thing that you did. But
She goes, doesn't look like it now, but 25 years ago.
Yeah.
It's
So
like, look at this ugly piece of junk. He was great though.
Used to be cool.
Hey.
Now he's old and ugly.
And can we talk about the timeline real quick?
yeah.
25 years ago, Rachel McAdams is 24 at that point. So that means in the span of 1 year, she abandoned the lumberyard boy.
it runs in the
Hold up.
family.
Are you trying to get to the fact that Allie is Lumberyard Boy's daughter?
Ooh.
I wasn't, but I'm going to pretend
Oh, sorry.
was. No, my point was this is just hereditary whiplash romance is what this family is.
Band name. Jeez, that's a good one.
But this family is tests positive. I mean, it is apparently just like, I love the poor boy, but rich is where I belong for
Yeah.
everybody, just down the line.
Yeah. They were definitely caricatures
Yeah.
of like rich person, poor person.
Southern rich person.
Yeah.
Young Southern Colonel Sanders. Her dad is still the weirdest part of this movie.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I didn't love it. I didn't love it at all. And that mustache was
Imagine
gnarly.
instead a movie called The Notebook that is his notebook that he writes of all his chicken recipes. And he is trying to discover the blend of 11 herbs and spices that will one day become Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I'd watch it.
I'd watch it.
Sounds better than this.
It does. So essentially, our Noah and Allie storyline ends when she drives back and is like, I chose you. She shrugs. She's like, I chose you. And we're supposed to be like, yeah, okay, great.
Yeah, love.
There was a, before we go into the present time,
Yeah.
there was the scene where she comes back, and we know, like, if you already don't want this to go too far, y'all are drinking the entire time. So everyone knows it's going to happen.
Yes.
But they go out to, where did all these ducks come
There
from?
are so many birds.
And it's one thing, like if this was already like a super cinematically beautiful artsy movie, I buy it.
Sure.
I buy something like that.
Sure.
If
If we
this
got,
came
if
out
we
of
got
nowhere,
a fleet of 3,000 ducks at the end of La La Land, I'd
I'd
buy
be into
that
it.
Yes.
because
And-
the camera is, yeah.
I'm so
Yes.
glad you brought this up because A, I forgot about it. And B, all I want is to go back in time and be a fly on the wall when a production assistant is making these phone calls where he's like, sorry, how many ducks do you have? Could I please have them all?
all
Yeah.
of them.
Also, could you refer me to other duck havers?
Only
Please?
white ducks, though.
Oh, yeah.
There-
No, one sad brown one.
One sad brown one and one swan.
No way.
Yep.
I missed the
saw
swan.
swan.
I saw some swan.
I missed the swan.
I did.
And also, at no point are they, because she brings up the ducks. She's like, oh, what are these ducks? But at no point are either of them like, what's with all these ducks?
So many ducks. It's because ducks, birds, not just ducks, birds symbolize love in this movie.
Fine.
That's the symbol that we're to draw. The whole, if you're
Yeah,
a bird,
if
I'm
you're
a bird. And then,
which, by
when
the
they
way,
finally
may I say,
commit. Yeah,
that
not
line
great.
is bad.
But then at the end, they die, and then the next shot we get is birds flying away in slow motion. So we're to associate birds with true love and
I
happiness.
hear you. 1,000 ducks is
1,000
weird no matter
I can
what.
think of nothing that communicates love less than 1,000 white ducks on a pond.
buy
1,000 ducks.
Yeah. So
Cause I'd paddle this canoe if I could just cheat on my fiance with you tonight.
let's go to the present time.
Please. This is,
A gift. That's why they call it the present.
oh, boo. This is where most of the sad happens.
This is
A lot
where
of the sad.
This is the only place where sad happens.
No, because James Marsden, though.
Yeah.
And
We're not supposed to-
two people died.
Oh, yeah. Forgot.
We're not supposed to feel
already.
bad for any of those because literally every time something bad happens, like when Finn dies, when the dad dies,
Yep.
whenever James Marsden gets broken up with,
Yeah.
the narration is just like, well, and then we did this next. And it just like glosses
Yes.
over those horrible things.
You know, I was reading in on some of the fun trivias, and there had been, I think, a scene. They had dedicated some time, like a good amount of time, to the origin of the actual notebook.
Yes.
I could
but-
have used that.
But they cut it. Why?
Which is crazy because it probably involved Old Lady Allie and Old Man Noah in that scene who crush it.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're so good.
Huge pump
Yeah.
on
like they do a-
elderly Noah and Allie.
Yeah.
And I could have used a scene with the two of them pre full blown dementia where they are interacting and talking with one another about this notebook.
And I'll go ahead, and it is, and I think I had referenced at the end of our first episode, or my first episode with y'all, that I was not looking forward to this because I don't like to feel that way.
yeah.
When I tell you that I will cry at any trick, it happens. Your commercial, wait, that's for insurance? What? And I'm like red in the face. So here's my super pump, even though it made me really down in the super dumps.
Sure.
Okay, was that relationship because it
Yes.
really was so very heart-wrenching. There is something about an old man when she falls back into it,
Yeah.
and he is kind of weeping into his hands.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Because he is so in love with her, which again, they sell it, but their future selves, who it was most important for them to sell this love, did not very well.
Yeah, they're past selves.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's right. So what happened in these 50, 60 years? Well,
And that's what the
you
movie
had
should be.
23 children
Sure. Yeah, for real.
who all came. It is so sad.
Yes.
But yeah, I think my super pump was how they redeemed the storyline.
Okay.
Yeah,
with
cool.
how really sad this is, because that's legitimately my number one fear is losing my mind.
That's horrifying to think about.
And yeah, it just really felt like what is the Greek like pushing that up the hill like the rest of his life? Sisyphus. He was
Sisyphean
absolutely
task,
the entire time.
Yeah.
It was hard, and everyone is saying, just you need to stop
And
this.
his
But
demeanor is so charming.
when he said, "My sweetheart's in there,"
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I am not ashamed to say that I cried like a baby at the end of this.
Yeah.
And I think that's because it's so emotionally heavy. Like you mentioned that's your biggest fear of losing. You said your biggest fear is losing your mind.
Yeah.
My number one biggest like source of anxiety and tension is time and like the passage of time and how we can't stop that and how time takes and takes and takes and takes and takes. And like that's what this movie's about at its core, what it should be about. You know what I mean? That's the most compelling part of this narrative to me. And we just spend so much time on the boring stuff.
And I was okay with the death. I hate to jump to the very end, but it felt appropriate right now. I think I was okay with that.
Yeah. Can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
Did they kill themselves? Is that what we're supposed to infer from this?
I don't think they
No,
killed
I
themselves.
think it was, and here comes the corn,
Truly
the miracle of love.
Okay.
Yeah, it really was. Like they literally said, "Do you think our love is strong enough to take us away from here?"
I
That's
know
what
they
she
said that,
wanted.
but they also said they were birds. So I think I just wanted to double check our reality here.
Yeah. No, I think it was. I think we are to assume that it was the miracle of love.
They
And
just
while
kinda
this
gave up at the
was
same time?
this was a happy ending,
Question mark.
it was, and it was almost my super dump. How it ended, like
Oh,
how it went
interesting.
straight into credits.
Yeah.
The last thing we see is the nurse, I think.
Yeah.
Straight into
And then
flying
flying
birds.
birds.
But there's a little bit of time before music. But then 5 seconds into it,
Black.
alto sax.
Yeah, the saxophone was bad.
When was there
I
ever
would've-
saxophone in it? And why have you taken me to a jazz club of death? It makes me so sad. There are so many moments. 80% of the time, I'm down for a saxophone.
Sure.
It's hot outside. I got to take my shirt off. Saxophone. These wings are all over my face. This wing sauce. Saxophone.
Yeah.
But we've held hands and died an old, forgettable death.
Oh, shut up.
It was no, but it was like a and I'm just like, what? In what setting? What I'm telling you, when I first heard the first like of a saxophone noise,
Thought it was a duck.
goose.
Goose. All right, fair enough. And while we're at the end, maybe I don't know, and this is potentially true. Maybe I don't know a lot about how dementia or Alzheimer's works. Is it realistic to set like a time limit of like we've got 5 minutes before the reset happens? That felt weird to me.
I don't know that it was a hard time limit. I think because she was like, "How long was I here last time?" And he's like, "It was only about 5 minutes."
Okay.
And I think he would be so infatuated with and so dedicated to what he's been doing for so long and is so familiar with that maybe he has timed it. And he's just like, every
Roughly.
moment that I actually have you back.
Gosh, that's such a better movie. What if the movie was him fighting against the doctors the whole time? They're saying she's not going to remember, she's not going to remember, and him saying no, she will remember. She's going to remember us. She's
I mean,
gonna
you
remember
could
our family.
as how like so many gut punches it would be a compilation of all the times she's slipped back.
Yeah.
But they get further and further. He tells her a little bit more of the story, slip back. We could have, I think collectively we're saying we could have used more of the present day.
100%.
Yes.
And speaking of present day, I want to talk about the worst doctor in the whole wide world.
Oh,
Yeah,
he was
for real.
bad.
This doctor goes, you got to lose hope, man. Stop hoping for your, essentially, I mean,
As if
he
that's
says,
not his job to just be there anyways. Like, why are you going to discourage
Seriously.
people? He's not hurting anybody. By the way, give him a break. He's had several heart attacks.
and he goes, hey, you got to know, there's no hope. There's no cure. They put the doctor there just to give old Noah something to rage against But
There's gotta
it
be
was
conflict in that story.
Weird.
Yeah.
This doctor that was just like, I'm here to heal people and to break your soul.
Yeah, and
Jeez.
I think Allie's quality of life would have been better in her old age if end of the movie nurse had been her nurse the whole time.
Yes.
Because when Allie drops into dementia, with new nurse at the very end, she's very sweet to her.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, but it's okay, baby. We just got to go in this room. It's totally fine. What I would think would actually be the case, except these loony nurses, when the climax, when she's like forgets him while they're dancing, they're like, Allie, stop, calm down. Like just yelling at her.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And it's like, so it makes me so uncomfortable.
Yeah. And this whole thing at the end with Allie saying to old Noah, I was afraid you'd never come back. How? How are you afraid of that?
Yeah.
You don't remember, and I'm not trying to be insensitive here, but they're not following the rules of this disease that exists.
I also kind of want to dump on the fact that Allie's the one that wrote the Notebook. I feel like that should have been Noah because we set that up to be a payoff of him spending his entire life reading poetry.
Yeah, I don't know. Yes, that makes sense. But to me, it was like, well, she knew he loved it, so she would have done that for him. Again, it came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But also, too, because of the Noah we saw, I think he would have had to have 2 or 3 degrees before the narrative language he was using. I was like, that to me, and I was already kind of being nitpicky, honestly. It did not seem like his verbiage. Like he would say the kind of things he was narrating.
Am I the only one that thought he was learning to read on his front porch for the first time?
No, I did too.
I did too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that was supposed to be, I thought we were going to see this juxtaposing. Here's her education. Here's his education that only his dad can
City
do.
mouse and country mouse.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
I guess all that leaves us with is, other than beating a dead horse here, rating this movie, yeah?
Let's do
Yeah.
it.
Is it
let's
time?
go.
So here at 2 Chunks and a Hunk, we have a tried and true method of rating movies. It's called the Scientific Cinema Scale. Live it, learn it, love it. We're going to run you through it right now, and then we're going to rate this movie. So here we go. The best thing we can ever say about a movie here at 2 Chunks and a Hunk is own it, don't lend it, buy that poster. The next best thing we can ever say about a movie is buy it. Take your bucks that you earned at your job, spend them at a store to get the movie. The next best thing we can ever say about a movie is rent it. Spend a couple of bucks at a place to own the movie for a brief amount of time. The next best thing we can ever say about a movie is stream it. Take a couple of your bucks, give them to Netflix or to Hulu or another streaming service and stream that movie there. The next best and second worst thing that we can ever say about a movie is forget it. You'd be better off if you just pretended this movie didn't exist. And lastly, the worst thing we can ever say about a movie. God hath forsaken us. Who wants to go first?
Me.
All right.
Forget it.
Okay,
Whoa.
Easy, 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 easy. Forget it.
tell us why.
It is emotionally exploitative instead of an actual good narrative. The emotion arises from spectacle rather than substance.
Yeah.
And it just made me really sad and bummed out.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not a movie that I want to watch if I want to be happy. If I want to watch a movie that makes me go, oh, that's what love is, I'm going to watch literally any movie except for this one.
Let me take your last statement and shift it into my rating.
Go.
You said, this isn't a movie you want to watch if you want to be in a good mood. This isn't even a movie I want to watch if I want to be put into a bad mood by art. And for that reason, this movie is a forget it to me. This movie not only to me fails at being a love story, it also fails at being a sad story because the sadness is crammed into these short bursts when all we need is really more of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And to me, that's why this movie, for a lot of reasons, and one of them being overhype in general, but for me, this movie has to be a forget it because if I'm lucky, this will be the last time I've ever watched this.
Yeah. And so I will go up just one level.
Give it.
And it's not to save my marriage.
Sure.
I'll go to a stream it.
Okay.
And I think I am a believer in you kind of need to see it
Yeah. Okay.
within genre. Again, alluding to why it was a part of this,
Sure.
why we did this,
Yeah.
why it just came to mind. Oh, well, because it's the Notebook.
Right.
So I think you should have your own opinion on it. You know, I'd love to hear what you have to say about it too. But I think it definitely is a stream it. It is something to be seen.
Yeah.
I could say that. I think you can honestly say to whatever extent you want to say this means.
Maybe you can honestly say
It is something to be seen.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
So is grass, 1,000 ducks.
We naming things in this movie?
No, just things you can see.
Oh, young Colonel Sanders.
Oh,
the
young
Colonel Sanders origin story we've all been waiting for.
The most
Rachel McAdams' returning and disappearing eyebrows.
what?
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah.
No, you can't do this to me because I don't want to watch this again.
Throughout this movie,
You think it's the light because they're really
it
fair.
has to be. But
Yeah.
throughout this movie, I went from going, she shave her eyebrows to, there they are. She shave her eyebrows again? There they are.
Yeah.
She shave her eyebrows? There they are.
They're werebrows. They only come out at a full moon.
Yeah.
Is the thing.
Yeah.
That's
I
exactly
think
what it is.
outside of we have talked about the fear of Alzheimer's. Something very interesting about this movie is that it's introduced us to a new phobia. And it's something that you go in and out of remembering whether or not you have a fear of water. And Allie lives this because she swings on this rope and is terrified to jump in, to where Gosling has to creeper scream, get in the water, just jump in the water. And then she finally does, and she's okay. Every other time that there's water, embraced as a lover.
Yeah.
Into the
Yeah.
ocean. The rain's here. How funny. I don't know. It's creepy. I never want to have that.
Yes.
I don't want to have this in between because you're supposed to at least have 8 glasses a day. If 4 of those glasses make me want to pee myself,
Yeah, sure.
I'm not having anything.
New theory. Do you know what disease causes a fear of water?
Tell me.
Rabies.
She has rabies.
Allie has rabies.
Not
It
Alzheimer's.
explains so much.
We're blowing the lid off.
We
of
have
this thing.
to stop this recording and start over from the beginning. This movie just got blown wide open.
All right. Well, before we stop, we do have some shout outs to give. I want to give a big shout out to Jordan Green for writing in on our website. Jordan sent us pumps and dumps for The Notebook.
Ooh, please.
Jordan's super dump is that this movie was really poorly made. Bad writing and filmmaking really took away from what actually wasn't a terrible story. I totally agree. We didn't even talk about that. These shots and the color grade, like, I don't know if they were intentionally going for that like 1950s post-war Technicolor look,
Right.
but it just looks cheap and bad.
Yes.
Jordan's super pump is Ryan Gosling. He says, I didn't like much about this film, but you can't go wrong with the goss.
The goss.
And I believe that no truer words have ever been spoken on this podcast.
I can agree with that. And something happens. Do you not think he ages perhaps 7 to 10 years with a beard?
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
He looks like a baby.
Fun
Yeah, in
the
fact, they
beginning.
actually filmed those scenes first.
And then Benjamin buttoned him younger.
He shaved and lost like 30 pounds between the first scenes
What?
they shot and the second.
Oh my gosh.
To look younger.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Only because I pay intimate detail to his body.
Yeah.
But he did seem really scrawny in front of the fireplace.
Yeah.
First
Yeah.
love time.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And then when they played Wii Sports pretty aggressively later,
Yeah.
he was much bigger.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
Yep.
That's true. Don't forget, if you want to be shouted out on the podcast, make sure you send us pumps and dumps through our website, twochunksandahunk.com, or post about us on social media and add the hashtag officialchunky.
And if you want to support the show, the very best thing you can do is subscribe on iTunes and leave us a review. That
do.
is the very best way for podcasts to gain traction and gain new audience members. And we can keep adding to that chunk nation.
And we can keep making episodes better and better.
And faster and stronger.
Harder, better, faster, stronger.
Carter.
Better, faster, stronger. Nice. That was really good.
I dig it.
That was really great. So next week, in continuing the Two Chunks Summer of Love, we will be reviewing a classic movie with two of the most handsome gentlemen in it. That's right, Joseph Gordon-Levitt
Old Jogo Lev.
and Heath Ledger, rest and rip.
Yeah.
That's right, this movie is 10 Things I Hate About You. Long title, long movie, long time.
Can't lose.
Can't lose. No, you want to know something fun? I've never seen this.
What do you think it's
You
about?
haven't.
I've never seen this movie.
Okay,
What do
wait.
you-
Yeah. So
Describe
Jordan,
it. I did this last week.
Yeah.
You describe
What
it.
do you
What's
think this movie is about?
I like to think that this movie is the story of an ex-special forces operative who comes home
Wow.
after a tour.
As they do. Yeah.
He comes home and he's struggling a little bit, and he meets the woman of his dreams.
You're 2 for 2.
And this woman sweeps him off of his feet. And I mean, I'm talking full reverse love story. She is really pursuing him, and he is with his friends like she's not good enough. All this
Hey,
stuff.
it's 2018. That could be a.
It's 1999 in that movie, I think.
Okay,
but
it's reverse at that time then.
as things move forward, he starts to fall more and more in love, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt's like, maybe I like her too. And finally, the girl decides to write a note to Heath Ledger where she's like, here are 10 things that I think is terrible about you. And he's like, I can't handle that. And he runs away and sort of goes underground for a while. And he begins to get really pale just because he hasn't seen the sun in a little bit.
I literally knew this is where this
And
movie was going to end with
after he has been underground for a while and he's been really honing his skills, and he starts to refer to himself as this agent of chaos.
Oh
And
my gosh.
I think
see
he
it now.
emerges from the underground victorious over Gotham City's police department.
Okay.
And he
All right.
wages a one-man war for anarchy.
Well, I think that's probably where we ought to end this episode.
Yeah, that feels about right.
For
I
two
think.
chunks and a hunk, I'm Doge.
I'm Jordan.
And I'm Carter, your guest hunk.
Get out of here.
It's not the Dark Knight next week.
You
Do I
don't
get
have to go
Do
home.
I get a third date?
but you can't
Or
stay here. Oh,
Please
yeah.
don't ghost. You going to text me?
I guess we'll let you know.
That's good enough. It's been good enough my whole life.
Just kidding. He'll be here.
He'll be here.
Bye.
Not for the Dark Knight.